Yeah, hello all. Welcome to the session. So, yeah, good evening. And can you guys hear me? Please confirm in the chat. The chat is enabled for everyone. So, please do let me know if you can see the screen or you can hear me. And, just give us 2 more minutes and let's see if people join. If not, we will start the session. And today is a demo session, by the way. And yeah. Yeah, thanks, Amrenda, for the confirmation. So let's wait for 2 more minutes and we'll start the session. Okay. Yeah, hi, Dinesh, Himatri, Pragati, Shai. Okay, it's already time. So let's start the session. For the people who join late, maybe they can see the recordings. And anyhow, it will be uploaded in the YouTube channel, right? So, okay. So once again, welcome to the Linux Administrator session. So it is a batch 272, and today is a demo session, by the way. And yeah, so I'm your trainer Karthik here. So this is the support mail ID from for the Logic Labs. So I will send it in the chat as well, so that if you have any query regarding the registration or anything, you can reach out to them. They will guide you. Okay. So like if you want to connect with me or anything, right? So any technical or if you're having any issues in the portal or anywhere, you can reach out to this mail ID. Okay, so there is only one mail ID. You just drop a mail to them. They will respond or connect with me, right? So the next one is, so this is the banner for the batch and it is a paid session, by the way. Yeah, there is a WhatsApp communication number in there. I will give you that. Just hold on for a moment. Yeah. So this is a paid sessions or the batch. So the timing is of 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, so there will be a buffer of at least 5 to 10 minutes for the people to join. And yeah, so it depends on the duration depends on how many doubts you have or how long the sessions can prolong. So at least there will be sessions of 4 weeks, which is of 20 sessions, right? So 5 days means 5 weekdays, and for 4 weeks, which is like 20 hours. And again, it depends on how many doubts you ask. So at least 20 days, sorry, 20 hours content is there. So you just, yeah, if you ask for a lot of doubts, and I'm open for many doubts. So yeah, it's your call. But at least there is a 20 hours content is there, which is for from the beginner and intermediate level. Okay, so we will discuss that in a moment. So this is the general information, by the way. So let me go through that. So the first 3 to 5 sessions will be a free one, and from the sixth session, it will be for only for the paid candidates. And there is no batch shifting also. And this is the chat link. So let me just quickly send it in the chat also. So you just click this chat right away. I sent it in the Zoom chat. So the link. So please click on that and join the group. So if you click, it will redirect to the group. So this is the this batch group. Why? Because if you're part of already a Logic Labs group, that is totally fine. But if you join this one, let's say if I'm not available on particular day and you join for the sessions, you will be notified. Okay, so there is no session for the day, so that we should not waste your time also, right? So that's the thing. So everything will be informed in that group. Any resources or anything related to our course will be like posted there. Okay. And so the Logic Lab support team availability is on from Monday to Saturday, which is like a working days. And the timing will be from 9 to 7, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST, right? And once again, like if you drop an email to this one, so anyone from the support team or anyone, they would connect to me if you have any technical doubts. If you have any portal related or any doubts related to the course or any clarification needed, you can reach out to them. They will be guiding you. Okay, and you can even reach to these numbers and moving on to the actual content. So before that, you can follow through these links. So this is for the site. We will go through how to register for the course later. So this is the official site, and the Telegram group is also there, Facebook, all the social media platforms is there. So you can go through that. So this is actual portal. We'll come back to that lastly. So yeah. And this course is about Linux administrator and main focus is on RHCSA. It is a certification which is hosted by Red Hat, and we will see that in a moment. Okay. So a little bit about myself, Karthik here. So I have RHCSA and about to attend RHCE certification, and currently working as a platform engineer in one of the MNC company. And on day-to-day basis, I usually handle from 7,000 to around 10,000 servers in our company. So yeah, and I am a trainer here for past 1.5 years. So that's about me. The session time will be from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pragati, every day, and it is only for weekdays or weekends. Okay. So first and foremost is what is Linux and why still it is relevant in IT? Because you might heard this Linux term and why people are or the companies try to use that. And I might use a term called as enterprise every time. So enterprise is nothing but your company, right? So any established companies like TCS or any company like banking side means let's say Citibank, many are there, right? So these kind of companies are called as enterprise. Okay, so because they have their own business units and much more. So yeah, so I might refer it as enterprise every now and then. So yeah, and why they prefer Linux. And as per the statistic also, it is around 85 to 90% of the operating system used in the infra side or infrastructures in the server end, everything is like your Linux only, right? Or any flavor of Linux. Okay. Why in the sense? First thing, Linux is portable and it is user friendly and it is command line. So the command line is a crucial part, especially for like a set of activities. Why? Because you can also do in GUI. So we'll see what is CLI in GUI in a moment, but you can do a set of actions in your graphical user interface, but still you can't get to a certain extent only in GUI, but you can go to the advanced level of usage in GUI. So the only option is CLI, and Linux from the early stages it is mastered the CLI. So it is built on top of the CLI like your Minix, right? So Minix, Unix, and all is based on CLI only. So let me quickly explain what is CLI and GUI so that we will be on the same page. So first thing, GUI full form is graphical user interface, and CLI means command line interface. So what is the meaning for both is? So GUI is what you are seeing right now. So we are interacting, or I'm interacting this machine using the cursor pointer, right? So this mouse pointer, and I can select it or I can remove it, anything I can do. I'm interacting using the graphical element, which is this mouse pointer, right? Or the cursor, and I can open any icons or apps here. So it will be opening the respective application or the action, right? So everything is in graphical element, and so underlying there is a graphical service will be running in the background. So hence it is a GUI, right? So and it is the downside of GUI and why people are not preferring GUI, especially in enterprises. It needs a lot of memory, and your CPU also, like few resources is needed, at least basic resources needed for GUI to be running, and that is not needed especially for enterprise because it is designed to do certain tasks which doesn't rely on GUI, or there is no need for GUI. So as an end user, as a typical Windows user, let's say, so you obviously as an end user, what you'll do, like you will watch movie or you will study or anything. For that usage, it is totally fine because you are used to this kind of a GUI element. But for a work environment or any enterprise related work, where CLI makes a huge difference. So now coming back to what a CLI is, command line interface. So as the name suggests, if you go to CMD, just go to run and type CMD, and this is your command line. So here also, you can't type anything. So if you type hello, it won't recognize it because underlying there is a set of commands only can be executed, or it is called as binaries. Okay, so binary means 1 and 0. So you will see this extensively in later sessions. But as of now, that is what CLI means. Okay, so only for a specific set of commands can be executed here, and the advantage of this one is you can do batch tasks and many tasks based on CLI, and it is easy actually to do in CLI because you will make use of wildcard characters and much more, right? So that's what the difference between GUI and CLI, and companies do prefer CLI. Okay, and many applications also has CLI. Application in the sense, um, most of the job schedulers or even your cloud service providers like AWS, like GCP. Now, not GCP, AWS mostly has uh, CLI as well as Azure, right? So yeah. So, and why still it's relevant? So it's been around 30 years, Linux has been. So last year only it is 30, right? So how it still stays strong, especially in infra side is, so it is, that's what, like the portability and easily you can access and manage it. So that's the main thing, right? Even though if you deploy your applications in Linux, you should manage it. So that's the key part, and that's where you will step in as a sysadmin or system engineer, right? So that's the thing. And moving on to the next slide. So this is the roadmap for our course, and in general, for a sysadmin, you should know all these, right? So this is for, and mainly our course is focusing on the entry level, right? So let's say you're not familiar with any of the networking or any concepts, this is the first course. Let's say you're starting with IT. So we will go from the basics, like what is user management, what is this, what is process, or how to troubleshoot a server. Let's say if it is into hung state or something. And lastly, we'll see the networking, right? So we'll see extensively how each and everything works, especially for our operating system. And it is, our course is built based on the basics, right? So basics and intermediate level. So obviously, it is not only based on the exam point of view, and obviously we will solve the exam questions and all, but still it is not only for the exam point of view. You will learn, or you will understand the practicality of the course, right? In order to become a sysadmin, what and all steps you need to know, right? So how to handle a issue, let's say if the server went to hung state, or if there is any multiple applications hosted on that server, how to manage all those, especially disk management and all. We will have an extensive session on those, right? So yeah, and why sysadmin is relevant, right? So that should be our next question. So once we see that question, we can move on to the next slide. So why sysadmin in general, right? So, and why sysadmin will be there in every company, right? So why? Because obviously every company has a data, and data must be stored in a server, and the server must be maintained, right? So that's the chain. So if any one of the elements in this chain is broken, that's it. Your infra layer, or even your whole application will be like it will be tumbled upon. Why? Because everything is like a Lego pieces, or you can call it as like a dominoes, right? So it will be a domino effect. If something went wrong in this chain, that's it, right? So that's the thing. You will be in the last phase, or last two phases. You will be building the server, and you will be maintaining it. Especially as a sysadmin, you will be maintaining it, right? So that's the thing. And coming back to your RHCSA, what is RHCSA and why Red Hat in general? Why? Because many of the companies prefer Red Hat. So you might have came across this term before, or if not, Red Hat is a MNC. So let me go to their site. And Red Hat is owned by IBM. Okay, so IBM acquired Red Hat like 2 to 3 years ago. So they have a lot of products under their belt, which is like the actual OS, right? So, and let me quickly show you the GitHub page for the, yeah, this is the one. Just a sec. Yeah. So he's the founder of the Red Hat, sorry, he's the founder of the Linux, and his name is actually Linus Torvalds. Okay. And this, he didn't actually coded the whole operating system. So operating system is like a huge thing, right? So you need a lot of members and team. So that's the reason it is an open source. So now is where you will see what is open source and closed source. So closed source are nothing but your Mac OS and your Windows, right? So Microsoft Windows, you can put it. So why? Because only they can provide an update, or if there is, let's say you want to change this cursor icon, right? So it should not be showing any load or anything else. Let's say you want to change the start button, right? So if you want to change it in default, you can't, right? So you need to add a new skin or something. But by default, only Microsoft has the whole control to change this one or any settings, right? So everything is under a Microsoft's like they own that, right? So they are the proprietary owner for that. So obviously they can only provision the changes to that. Same thing goes for Mac OS, whereas open source, right? So any Linux operating system like Ubuntu, Red Hat, or RHEL in short, and many operating system in list. So let me even show you one site. Or this yeah, this is the link. I will send this link in the chat also. So if you go to this link, so this distro watch means, okay, first thing is what is distro is. As I told, this is a Linux. This is not the actual operating system, by the way. It is a Linux kernel. So kernel is like a heart of the OS. Okay, so this without this, there is no point in having your operating system. So yeah, so Linus actually initiated the first version of this kernel, and you see a lot of contributors here. So it is one of the most pulled and most contributed repo in the GitHub. Okay, so you see around 15,000 contributors are there, and so many stars and forks are there, right? So the point is, using this, even you can build your own operating or own version of Linux. So that's the reason it is called as open source, because even you have the access to the whole kernel, right? So you're not blocked anywhere. So that's the thing. And just a sec, let me see this side. So distro watch, and what is a distro means? As I told, you can build your own operating system, right? So there are many operating systems in the market, or based on Linux, right? Or based on this Linux kernel to be exact. So yeah, you have Rail, that's what we focus on, and you have Ubuntu, and Pop OS is there. So it is emerging now, and you have Linux Mint, and the list goes on. So I'm not sure why this link is not working. So there is around 950 distros out there, and it is called as Linux distributions. In short, it is called as distro. Okay, so there is a huge list out there, and yeah, I will include that link in the notes for the day, so you can go through that. Okay, and let me just show you the images. I think it's not there. Okay. So many Linux distros are there. So we will, but focus only on Red Hat. Why? Because in your, as the name suggests, the full form of Red Hat or RHEL is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, and it is the core component or core product of Red Hat. So which is the Red Hat own version of Linux, right? So their own solution of Linux, you can call it like that. And why they survived, or there are, as I told, so many players out there, like around 900 versions are there. Why companies prefer Red Hat? That should be our next question, right? Why? Because they have a very good support. So after, let's say you install the operating system, you are ending up with some issues. Red Hat has a very good support team, so which will support you. Let's say if you stuck somewhere, or if you even your experts in your or SMEs in your team also can't fix that issue, they will support you. Obviously, you as a company, you need to pay for them. But the point is, that's the main reason Red Hat is the USP of Red Hat is that one, the support team, right? So, and they have a lot of features, especially or designed or basically tailored for the enterprise. So that's the reason in the name itself they are having enterprise, and they've been out there for 20 plus years. So RHEL is like the first iteration is on 1999. So from that time, it still goes on, and the current or the latest version is like RHEL 9.2, right? So yeah. And if you heard the OpenShift and so many products out there, and obviously many might have heard Ansible, right? So Ansible is for the configuration management, right? So you can Ansible is also under Red Hat only. Okay, and the cloud services like OpenShift is there, or OCP, and so many others. Okay, so you can go through their site or the products. There will be plethora of products out there from Red Hat. So yeah, that's the main reason IBM acquired Red Hat. So yeah, coming back to the certification and why RHCSA, you might ask. There are so many out there, right? CompTIA is there, CompTIA is there, and you have LFCS is there. So why RHCSA, right? So RHCSA, as I told, Red Hat is what company prefers, or RHEL is what company prefers. And if you have a certification based on that exact operating system, it adds a credibility in your resume. And let's say you're starting your career with, or you're aspiring to become, let's say, DevOps engineer or SRE. This is a very huge foundational knowledge in your career path, right? So that's the reason RHCSA is what we will cover, and it has its own value actually, right? And this is the exam code for RHCSA, and it is not also not a fundamental course, right? So it is has its own benefit because it is a practical exam. There is no MCQ or anything. So if you know the commands and if you know how to answer the question, then only you can at least approach the exam. So we'll see the exams or the sample question paper in a moment. So first thing we'll go through the syllabus and we will start. I will answer few queries. Okay, so someone raised the hand. Just give me 5 to 10 minutes and we will see the queries from your end. Okay. So the first thing in the syllabus is the introduction part, and yeah. So the next thing is introduction to the RHEL. Since it is a beginner friendly, I will go from the basics of why Red Hat is what are all the advantage of having Red Hat over some of the like Ubuntu or Fedora or any Linux distributions, and you have these essential commands, right? So first thing, many would so let's say if you anyone talks about Linux, the first thing comes to your mind is commands. You need to type a lot of commands. Even for a basic task, you need to type it, and that's true. And that's not hard in the same time. Obviously, anyone can master it, and it's not that difficult also, right? So once you are used to it, it is very interesting, right? So and again, there are few essential commands. Let's say if you want to copy a file or if you want to rename a file, so like that, those are all essential commands. For the advanced tasks, like let's say you want to transfer a file and you want to change the permission and you want to do some commands in loop. So those kind of advanced operations, or you want to take a backup of a file. So many things you can do as a sysadmin. So those commands also we will see. And you might wonder, okay, there is how many commands out there in Linux, or what is the maximum limit, right? So it is a controversial question, by the way. So you have around 3,000 plus commands out there, but obviously no one can remember or no one will use those many commands. So at least basic, essential and advanced commands we will see around at least 50 to 100 commands we will see, right? So in our session, much more than that also depends on how many doubts you ask, and we will see that. Okay, so at least 100 commands we might see, and it's not like okay only 100 commands, so we will go much more than that. Okay, so and the next so the very next session itself we will be doing the installation. Since it is a practical sessions, the lab is very important, and we will install RHEL 8. And you might ask, okay, RHEL 9 is the latest one, so why RHEL 8? So RHEL 9 on and RHEL 8 is both are almost same, so you can either install RHEL 9 or 8, it's your choice, but at least it should be 8 and above. There are many versions in between. Why? Because RHEL 7 and 8 has a major difference. We will see that in later session. But yeah, and we will see how to install it in both your local system using VMware, and we will be installing in the any one of the CSP, like any cloud service provider like AWS. We will see both AWS and GCP because they have a free tier solution. For Azure also free tier is there, but it is only for the students nowadays. So anyhow, I'll give some steps for installing, how to install or initiate in Azure. You can go through that. And the next one is performance monitoring. So now you might ask, okay, what we need to monitor, right? So as a sysadmin, you need to monitor few system resources. So the very easiest way to understand what is the system resources, just go to your task manager. So you can just right click your start button and click task manager, or you can press Control Shift and Escape. You'll land up in this task manager, right? So you just click the second one, which is called as performance, and you have these are all the actual system resources, right? So you have CPU, memory, disk, networking, network adapters, and your GPU. So sometimes GPU doesn't matter, so you can, but anyhow, it's needed for some grid operations and all. But the point is, those are all the those are all the system resources, right? So let's say for this computer or this laptop, I can manage via seeing this. Like I can see that, and or I can assign someone to monitor this. But this is only one system, right? So we are talking in a volume of 5,000 plus servers. Obviously, no one has a capability of monitoring everything at the same time, right? So in that case, you need to have a monitoring solution in place to see if there is any performance drop or any like any spike in CPU usage or memory. Because let's say an application is starting at the business time like 9 a.m. There might be or there must be a spike, which is like a huge thing if it is crossing the threshold, right? So you will be alerted and you need to schedule that alerts and all, or you need to initiate those alerts. If time permits, I will show one of the monitoring tool. Okay, so there are many out there in the market. Like you might have heard many tools like Zabbix and all. So Zabbix is the new relic. So these are all free tools, by the way, and the companies use Dynatrace a lot for application monitoring, and you have Grafana for log, and even your system resources. You have ELK stack, and the list goes on. Okay, so I will try to show you new relic. Okay, so if time permits, we will see that at the last, because our syllabus, it is like a it is tightly packed one. So once we are done with every topic, if time permits, we will see how to initiate the monitoring system in your server, right? And the next one is the user management. So how to manipulate the users, like create, delete, modify everything. And this is for the local user. Okay, so you have two types of users, which is local and active directory. So we'll see those things in later sessions. Yeah. So how to change the password? These are all basic things, guys. Okay, so we will see those things in few sessions. Okay, so yeah, how to add a user in the group, right? And the group management makes a lot of sense, especially in your enterprise, right? So we will see that, and how to configure the super user access, like sudo access, and how to give the root access and all for a specific use tasks or a specific user, right? So those things we will see. And the next one is your basic OS concepts. Like these are all the basic or the essential concepts you must know, right? As a sysadmin. So the first thing is like what are all the basic tools like copy, remove, or rename. So these kind of file manipulation tools, and how to change the like how to restart a service, and those things we will see in the process management and all. But how to search for a specific term or specific pattern in a file or a text file, right? So those things, and how to access a remote server, right? So why or what is the meaning for remote server, you might ask. So a remote server is obviously the servers are not located here. Let's say you're working from Hyderabad. Obviously, the server also, there is no need for the server to be located in Hyderabad, right? So it will be located somewhere in, let's say, Norway or somewhere, right? So the point is you are the one who need to access it remotely, right? So how the SSH or the a remote like there is a protocol for that, so how it actually works. So we will see that extensively because many might already use SSH, but they don't know the backend what is going on, like how it is the key is being transferred, or even in Amazon, that's the only method you are having, right? So key based authentication. So many might already use that, but you might not have that backend idea how it actually works. Right, so you'll see that extensively. There is a dedicated session only for key-based authentication. So we will see that. Okay, and the basic operations like archiving. So let's say you don't have enough space in your disk. You need to archive the old data, which is not needed right away, but it is needed in the later days, right? So let's say if there is any issues, you need that old data for investigation. So that's what you need to archive many logs, right? So how to archive it, right? So we'll see that also. And as I told, like file manipulations, like create, delete, copy, move, and all, and hard link and soft link, those things we'll see. And file permissions, very, very important one. So in our Windows, we take it granted, the file permissions and all. But in Linux, we will see extensively file permissions, and it is very important concept, especially for your securing your file as well as it is kind of like like you must know that, right? So using the file permission itself, you can block the user to not even have access to that file, or he can't even read that, right? So many things you can do just with file permission. We will see that how to again how to remove access, how does the special permission works in the file permissions and all. And yeah, so the next one is the system administrator activities, which is like a basic activities on day-to-day basis you might encounter, which is like let's say how to reboot a server, and if the server is not booting up right away, what went wrong, right? So you must understand the booting procedure, and it is like a common question in almost it's been like a common question in many interviews, and it is not there nowadays, or it is not being questioned nowadays. But yeah, as a sysadmin, you must know that. So that's the reason the interviews ask that question in general, like the booting procedure. So the very next session, we will see what is the booting procedure and all. So yeah, if the system is stuck somewhere, you should be in a position to like diagnose it, or at least understand, okay, why it is stuck there, right? So that's the thing. And how to interrupt yourself. Let's say you want to interrupt and make changes to the system even before it is booting. You need to obviously interrupt the booting process, right? So those things we will see. And once again, the how to identify the CPU or memory spike, and how to kill that specific service or the process. We will see that. And the tuning profiles, and this is for the profiles for different usage. We will do the system tuning. And the next one is the important one, which is like how to locate a log file and how to manipulate it, or how to understand how the logs are interrelated, or let's say you are stuck with some issue, like the network adapter is not detected, right? So you need to, obviously the only place you have a log is like in your server only. It will be located somewhere. So you should know the exact time when it went down, or you need to understand why it went down in the first place, right? So for those things, logs plays a very vital role. And yeah, that's the thing. We will see how to understand the log, right? So and again, like how to start a service stop, how to check the status of the service, what are all the logs related to that service, we will see that. And how to transfer a file securely. So these are all basic tasks actually. So on day-to-day basis, you will do that. How to transfer between servers, and even using WinSCP, how to transfer your files. So you might think that, okay, I'm talking low, so many concepts, but as is, like we will see from the basic of each concepts, right? So don't worry too much about everything. It is from the basics we will cover till the intermediate level. So yeah, and the next one is your disk management. And here the major part is your LVM, which is called as logical volume management. And it is also one of the USP for companies to prefer Linux, because the concept which LVM is also there in your Windows, but it works in a very different way in your Windows, right? So yeah, so basically you're uh, as an end user or as a, let's say, Windows user, you might not let me show you the disk management in my case. So you might have at least one partition must be there, but you won't have specific partitions for specific usage. Let's say application will be landing in one specific partition, and something is used for services, and like there is no segregation, especially in Windows. Everything will be dumped in C column or your systems files, or sorry, systems folder. Whereas in Linux, everything is segregated separately, and we will see how LVM plays a major role in that, right? So again, you will create a LVM, we'll delete it, we will take a snapshot of it, and yeah, some advanced topics in LVM is so not advanced. The first thing you need to create, mount, and even format it to a specific file system format, and what is a file system especially. We will see those things extensively, at least 2 to 3 sessions we'll see about disk management. And yeah, and these two are the like advanced topics in disk management, which is strategy and video. And for sure you can expect either one of the question in your exam also. Okay, and we are almost done, so please hold on for a moment. So the next one is your security part. And obviously everyone knows that security plays a major role, especially in any operating system. You might see in the news or anywhere that there is a data breach in Windows or Mac or anywhere, right? But it is very hard to notice if there is any data breach in Linux, or obviously there will be, but it is not that much volume, right? So why? Because that's what, like there is not much uh, hackers or any like the spyware or any tools. There is not much developers for that actually. Okay, so that's the main reason why, because it is that secure, and you can change how the security is being there, right? So you can increase one level, and like it is a major role, especially in an enterprise, right? So security plays a major role, especially for the budgeting. And yeah, so that's what we will see, like how the key based authentication works, how the firewall works, especially in Linux, and what is SC Linux, which is secure Linux. And uh, like in order to give a basic gist about SC Linux is, even a simple file or even an empty text file as well as a folder will have its own security layer or its own context. It is called as SC Linux context. And yeah, so that is what is like a one more layer of protection, right? So for that specific file, right? So that's what a basic gist about SC Linux. We will see extensively in later sessions. But yeah, and how to restrict a specific user to use a set of commands. And you can even restrict the user to use only certain path. Like just to give an example, a user can only go to this D partition. He can't, or he will never have access to C, like that. Even in D specific folder only you will have access to, right? So like that also you can restrict the user in Linux, and we will see that how to do that. Okay, so and again, it is a niche requirement. Not only this, many things we will see. You won't do that in day-to-day basis. Not everything, but if there is a requirement for that, obviously whatever you understood from the sessions will be helping you during that time. right? So yeah. And the next one is your networking. And why I mentioned as basic networking is obviously networking itself is a separate topic altogether. We won't cover everything in the networking, just the basics of what is IP and what is host name and how it is correlated and what is DNS and those things, and how to set up a static IP in your server and how to set a host name. So that's obviously we'll do in the next session itself, and how the network services affect your server. And yeah, so that's what we will see in the networking. And this is also a very, very important question in your exam. Okay. And the next one is your containers. So many might already know container means obviously Docker might come in your mind. So that's true. So Docker is the company which pioneered containers, but Red Hat has their own container solution, which is called as Podman, and it is like 95 to 99% Docker only. Okay, so it just you need to replace Podman with Docker. Every command will work because exactly it is like a fork of Docker, and even some of the Docker packages or images you can see here. Okay, so that's the thing. We will see how to install Podman or how to create a container out of it, how to pull the image, right? So everything we'll see, and how to set up, how to do a startup service based on the container. We'll see that. And lastly, if time permits, we will cover VMware vSphere, because the VMware solution we will use is called as VMware Workstation, which is for an end user or an commercial use like us, right? So not for enterprise, but in your enterprise or in your company, you will use VMware vSphere, not the workstation, because vSphere has a lot of features, and it's a very good thing actually if you have vSphere knowledge. Obviously, we won't see everything because again, vSphere itself is a separate team will be there. You won't be the one managing it as a sysadmin or as a Linux sysadmin. You won't manage it, but if you have that knowledge right away, it will be helpful for you in the long run, right? So that's what we will see. Okay, so yeah, so that's your syllabus part. And once again, the session is timing is from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And yeah, the next question you might ask, and who are all the core audience for the session is? First thing is let's say you're starting your career with Linux. Obviously, this is a very important course for you. So let's say this is for the basic and intermediate. Why? Because why not advances? Obviously, advanced topics itself is not there in the sessions. And since we are focusing on RHCSA, it is not an advanced course or advanced certification, right? So it is just a entry level certificate, and just to boost your career path in Linux or in infra side, it is useful. And the next one is intermediate. And so what is let's say you're done with the sessions, what is the next step, right? So first thing is you can apply for sysadmin role. And first thing you can do Red Hat certification. For that, it is a paid one. So, right, so it is around 20K INR. So yeah. So this certification is a 20K one, and it is from the official Red Hat site, right? So it has its credibility, and there is an expiration for within 3 years it will expire. Again, you need to reappear for the exam. So that's the certification part. And if you don't want that also, it's totally fine. It's your choice, right? So if you want, you can like attend that exam and get certified. If not, you can obviously you will have the knowledge of that, right? So that's more than enough actually. And once you're done with the sessions, you are eligible for the role sysadmin and the system engineer in few companies. You can apply as a system engineer. And so once you're have once you're practiced and have at least 6 months to 1 year experience, you can apply for DevOps engineer. right? So this is like a very foundational level knowledge for DevOps. Why? Because I get this question a lot, like how Linux is related to DevOps. Obviously, every tool in your DevOps, right? It is mostly you will use CLI, and mostly that CLI is or the tool is hosted on Linux machine, right? So if you know the Linux or basic Linux, obviously you can master it, right? So or it will be easy for you to understand those tools. And obviously you will encounter a lot of tools in DevOps. And the next stage is your SRE, which is Site Reliability Engineer. So obviously you are eligible for that. And what about cloud computing? So cloud computing is also part of DevOps and SRE, Bader, Bader, or Bader, right? So yeah. So obviously, many companies already migrated to cloud, and if not, there might be a cloud engineer. So that's what I told, right? If there is an infra involved, you will for sure encounter at least one server in your as a Linux. Not only one, more than one will be there, right? So yeah, at, like Linux is like a necessity for any infra layer. So that's the thing. And this is a very foundational level course. So yeah. Any other doubts? So someone raised the hand. Sorry, I missed. Uh, Dinesh, you want me to unmute you?
Hey, hi
Yeah,
Karthik.
yeah. Hi, Dinesh.
Uh, I just wanted to know. So you are covering the Linux patching as well, Linux patching in this,
Yeah. Linux patching will be covered. Yeah. So not the exact
and
satellite patching and all. So satellite patching because I myself don't have access to. It is a paid one, right? So I will show you how the satellite patching and the actual patching works. But yeah, it will be covered as part of the syllabus, Dinesh.
okay. One more question. So the commands will be same for all the Linux flavor in this Red Hat, like Red Hat Unix, we have Ubuntu, we have CentOS, Photon OS.
Oh, okay, that's a good question.
Commands will be
So
same or else it will be
yeah,
different.
so it depends. Okay, so no, actually, so few commands there will be a difference, but the essential commands which I told, right? So that will be obviously same. But let's say you're having that's what like you have CentOS. So CentOS is like a flavor or it's owned by Red Hat community only. So that will be using Red Hat based commands, and like the major difference between the distros is like let's say Ubuntu or Fedora or any like Pop OS. Many are there, right? So let's take Pop OS. The major difference is your repository, right? So it is so on the very first session itself, we won't discuss this all, but the point is the repository means the packages in which like many applications are there, right? So it is bundled in that repository, and we'll be using that. So the major difference between every application, or sorry, every distributions is your repository. So few commands or the important commands will be the same, Dinesh. Okay, so you need not worry about that. So, but anyhow, if you understood this one, so you can approach that because yeah, that's what like, and companies use Ubuntu also. So it's not that only Red Hat is the major player. So Ubuntu was also there, but that's what like Red Hat has a very good support after installation or aftermarket support is very good, especially in Red Hat point of view. So that's what like that's the main thing. Red Hat is like dominating or the monopoly, especially in this kind of OS. Okay, so, yeah.
And in this Linux flavor, which OS the client will be recommended, like Linux or Red Hat or Unix, which flavor the most clients will be used?
Red Hat actually.
Red Hat,
So
right?
yeah, Red Hat. So Red Hat, especially most companies already migrated to RHEL 7 or more than that. So RHEL 7, 8, and 9. So in our company, we use RHEL 8. So most companies actually migrated to RHEL 8 because RHEL 6 and all is sorry, it is obsolete. So it is no like there is no update provision from Red Hat itself. and they even decommissioned it. Even RHEL 7, the few versions are decommissioned. So the point is, like, yeah, RHEL 8 or RHEL 9 is the preferred one, and you will also appear in the exam for RHEL 8 and 9. So you will have choice, either you can use RHEL 8 or 9. Both are almost same, like just few user interfaces difference is there. And I didn't mention, actually there is a GUI version also we'll be installing, not just a CLI version we'll be installing for the Red Hat OS. We will be installing a GUI version, and
Perfect user interface.
yeah, so don't worry about it.
And two more questions, sir.
Yeah.
So now my client is my client don't want to use Windows at all. So
Mm-hmm.
before configuring the infrastructure, so I need to
Mm-hmm.
configure AD, DNS, DHCP. So without
Mm-hmm.
Windows, can we configure AD all these features in Linux or Red Hat OS?
Obviously, there is a counterpart solution, especially in Linux, since it's been there for quite some time, but it's not that popular or that preferred. Why? Because LDAP is LDAP is a Linux equivalent for AD. Okay, and there are many out there, but uh, again, it depends on the client, right? So if they want a ease of access for AD, many, like almost 90% companies prefer Active Directory hosted in Windows Server rather than
Windows.
so rather than Linux. But the solution is there. So LDAP is there. For DHCP also, you can configure a DHCP server in Linux, right? So obviously everything can be performed here, but it depends on the complexity, right? So it is far, and those three are the major service why Windows Server still exists, because without those three, Windows Server doesn't make sense,
Containers.
because yeah, there is a major, like you will use lot of resource, especially for running the Windows Server itself. The basic requirement for Windows Server is like a memory is of 3 gigs, at least 3 gigs should be there for Windows Server 2016, let's say. Whereas in Linux, if you have 700 or at least 800 MB of memory itself is more than enough. The point is, like, it is not a resource hungry, your Linux will be, and that's what company also needs, right? So it should, just for running the operating system, it should not require a lot of resources. All the resources should be concentrating only on the application side, or what are all the applications running on that server, not just running that server, right? So hope that makes sense. Yeah.
One more last question.
Yeah.
Another Sonica trainer. So the both the content
Mhm.
is same or is both are different? Is both
Okay.
the one which you are taking
So
on Sonica?
yeah, both are same. So both also, like she is also preparing for RHCSA. So yeah, both are almost same.
You can see when I see the content, there are some points are different, so I just confused.
Yeah, so she is having like a bit more like how to install the Samba server and all. So that is fine. Even I can cover that, but the point is, this is majorly focusing only on the basics, and whatever we do in practical, right? So in our work environment, like let's say if a server went to hung state, what is the solution I will take? Right, so and that for all the issues you will face on day-to-day basis, and how to, let's say
Yes.
we want to extend a disk, right? So those kind of things, what and all I personally do in a day-to-day basis, I will explain it to you. And yeah, we will see at least 2 to 3 sessions dedicated only for day-to-day activities. And obviously while we see the topics, we will see that, but there will be at least 2 to 3 sessions dedicated only for day-to-day activities, and I have a slide just for that. So yeah, just for your information.
Okay. Yeah, this is allowed. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you for your
no
help.
problem, Ganesh. And for Amarendra's question, so obviously there will be every day notes will be provisioned, and the history command. Okay, so there is a command called as history, which will give whatever commands type um, till that, right? So even the history will be provisioned, and the log, right? So whatever command I type in my kitty, or the remote connection software, right? So it will be shared with you. So you need not worry about the notes, Amrendra. Okay, so yeah. And I will give much more explanation on each topic, because if you go theory wise, you can cover it within 10 days also. But on a practical basis, what are all the issues you will face, and on a like as an end user, not as an end user. So let's say you, obviously after the sessions you will try for companies, right? So obviously you should be interview or you should be ready for the interviews. So I will give some interview insights also. And if you're fine with it, you can share the resumes also. I will do some resume reviews, right? So once we are done with the sessions, you can do that. But the sessions or the timings are like packed, especially for us. So just till 20 hours, we will do everything. And after that, we can, uh, yeah, so we can see about a job oriented. And obviously, like if you share the resume, I will do the resume review and we will see, or I will give some points for the resume. Okay, so you need not worry too much about it. So yeah. And once again, it is a paid session. It's not a free one, because sometimes we host free sessions. So that is for different course. So the paid session and the course fees is around 4130, like 4130, and the duration minimum of 4 weeks, and it can extend based on how many doubts you ask. And I much appreciate if you ask as many doubts you want. So yeah, and the timing is from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and there can be a buffer of 5 minutes because for people to join. So yeah, and you can reach out to this link. And before everyone moves, so this is the link. Okay, so you just type bit.ly/linuxll1. Okay, so I'll give it in the chat also. So please go to this link and it will redirect you to this Linux resource. So while coming to the next session, please do install this one. So if you want to, let me show it in this view. So yeah, this is the actual OS. So why I'm sharing as a Google Drive link is obviously the OS is like a huge one. It's around 10 gigs, like 9.43 gigs. And we need the VMware workstation also. And it is a paid one. Okay, so means you need not pay for it. So there is already a key I provisioned with this one. So you can fetch the key from uh, here itself. I might have given. No, okay, I didn't give it here. So you can just go to this PDF VMware workstation installation. Obviously, there are steps, and if you don't understand the steps, anyhow, we'll see how to install it in next session. And you have the actual key or the license key here. So it is very straightforward the process for the Windows users. You just install any software like a VLC or any software, right? So you just open that, click on next, it will start the installation. And lastly, it will ask you for typing the license. You can use the same license, right? So yeah, and this is for Workstation Pro 16 version. So if actually some people install from the internet and like using 17. So for that, this key obviously won't work. So if you want the latest one, you do let me know, because 16 also is more than enough actually for our course. That's the reason I included that. And if you want the latest one or 17 and for the key, you just let me know. I will mail you or I can send it to you. Okay. And even the OS installation also I provision the notes here. So you can go through that and install yourself. If not, anyhow, next session we can do that. And for the system requirement, the basic requirement is at least, obviously everyone's requirement will be already satisfied. Or anyhow, I'll just give the system requirements is at least there should be of two cores, two CPU core. And how to find the CPU core is again go to the task manager, and same thing go to the performance, select CPU, and here you see the core count. So here in my case, it is 6 cores. So in your case, it can be vary from 2, 4, 6, or 8. So if it is 2, obviously it will be 2. If not, if it is only 1 core, it is not recommended to use. Okay, so you can opt for cloud service provider, and that is also free. So don't think that okay, it is a paid one. It is a totally free one. I will show you how to install everything in the CSP also. Uh, but that is the basic requirement: two CPU core and at least 4 gigs of memory. 4 gigs means including your OS. Okay, so it means 2 gigs is more than enough actually. 2 GB of RAM, free RAM. Okay, so it means in my case, like it is of 8 gigs, right? So I can use 2 gigs from here. So most laptops nowadays comes with at least 8 gigs. If not, if 4 gigs also is more than enough. Actually, we can run it actually, RAM or memory, and you have at least 20 gigs hard disk. So obviously everyone will have this 20 gigs. So this is for your OS installation. So that is your basic system requirement. And this is for the local installation. If you want local installation, all this is needed. And if you want to install through, let's say, like this GCP or AWS, obviously there is no need for either one of these, or you need not even download this ISO. Okay, and we will see, or I will show you how to do install in GCP and all in tomorrow, or if time permits, tomorrow we'll cover. If not, in day after tomorrow session we'll cover it. And let's say you are stuck. So this ISO download is a single file, right? So it is a huge one. Let's say you are not having a bandwidth, or it is stuck somewhere in between. It might cancel and start from the beginning. So which is very annoying, right? So in that case, you just use torrent, and you can use this torrent client. So first you need to install qubit torrent, and you just download this torrent and open from that, right? So that should be fine. And if you are having any doubts for the installation, we will see in next session. And if you still have doubts, I will take a one-on-one like uh, session, or sorry, access to your system, and I will fix that, because we should have a working lab environment. That's very important, especially for our sessions, because it is a purely practical sessions. And yeah, from the very third session we will start the lab, like we will start the batch, because tomorrow session also will be a installation only. So yeah, and today's recordings will be posted in the YouTube channel, so you can check that. One sec, let me show the YouTube channel also. Yeah, so this is the YouTube channel. You can even see a different like technologies it's been taught in the logic labs. So yeah, you can see that. I will give the YouTube link also. So I usually take both weekend and weekdays. So as of now, I'm taking only the weekday session. So weekend, I'm not yet scheduled, but yeah. And in order for you to register for the sessions, you just go to this official page. Just go navigate to the courses, select the uh, category, and you need to scroll down. And okay, so let's say so it's hard for you to show up on the 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's very hard for you. You can opt for the self-paced recording also is there. It is the same content from the previous batch. Okay, so you can opt for that. And yeah, so this is the batch. So you can go to this link and you can register for the course, and you can see my previous demo sessions and all. If you are fine with my way of approach to the course, you can opt for it. Okay. So yeah. So is there any doubts anyone regarding the course or registration? And if you still have doubts, please do reach out to the mail ID which I provision, support@logiclabstep. Okay. So yeah. So that's it for the day then. It's already time. Okay. We went uh, overboard with the time. So yeah. So that's it for the day. Thanks guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.